So in what will probably be my last build video before Ascending Tide, just because I'm going to have to update all of these already. We've got the Magicka Dragonknight build, super strong with the Deadlands patch, and it's only going to get stronger next patch. Traditionally, you'd have one of these in every trial group running Zens as a support set, but now they do ridiculous DPS this patch as well. So we're going to look at two different rotations that you can use depending on whether you want a slightly simpler static rotation or one that involves a little bit more bar swapping, both of which hit over 112k DPS on the trial dummy. We're also going to have a look at some rotations we can use in other content as well, such as Cloud Rest portals and things like that, and some of the changes that are going to happen next patch and how we can sort of future-proof our build to make sure that we're not going to get caught out by some of these changes. We're going to go through everything, rotations, skills, passives, gear, everything you can need. So please do stay tuned. So let's have a look at our basic setup. So because we are a Magdk, we've got all 64 attribute points into Magicka. We are using Ghastly Eyeball food on the dummy or Bicep food in content. We have got the Vampire Bart on us in a minute, but we don't need to make use of this because that's getting nerfed next patch anyway, so we won't be able to utilise it. And we are using the Thief Understone to maximise our crit chance. We are a Dark Elf. This is mostly because I use this as a Stam DK as well. Dark Elf is consistently like one of the better classes, and it will continue to be next patch with the hybridization of skills as well. But it can be a Khajiit as well. I did hit 112k as a Khajiit before I changed to a Dark Elf, so both strong choices. In terms of gear, we have got Kinras daggers. Slightly different than the other builds though, because instead of Nirn charged, we have got double charged, still flame and poison. Charged gives us a lot of sustain on the DK that lets us maintain a low mag pool for bar side. The Inferno staff from Maelstrom on the back bar, perfected or non-perfected, doesn't matter, just infused with a weapon damage enchant on it. We've gone for the light Slimecraw, perfected bar size, body pieces, and Kinras jewels, all spell damage with Bloodthirsty glyphs, as with all the rest of our builds pretty much. Advancing Akira is another option because we will use daggers because the majority, if not all of our decent skills are melee range, such as breath and whip and such. So we can proc our martial melee damage for advancing Akira, but in testing this hits pretty much the same damage as Kinras, and obviously Kinras buffs us with Major Berserk and our teammates with Minor Berserk that can fill in holes that combat prayer might leave, so Kinras is better in content for sure. So next we're going to look at some of the skill setups, and there is going to be a couple of variations of this because we are going to look at two different rotations and some bar setups for some specific content as well. So our first skill on the front bar is going to be Engulfing Flames, a powerful dart with a good conal upfront sort of cleave damage as well. That buffs the flame damage that particular enemy takes from all sources, so as well as us, but our group mates by 10% because of our spell damage, so good group utility as well. Having this in the group means obviously a DK tank doesn't have to run it. Burning Embers, another powerful dot. This is actually getting buffed next patch because the heal that it provides when the effect runs out at the minute will change to a heal over time, making it even more a powerful utility, rather than sort of end as it ends. Molten Whip is our main spammable. Really powerful, and by having this as well, this allows us to generate Seething Fury stacks. So when we cast Burning Embers, Engulfing Flames, or Flames of Oblivion, which is on the bar as well, we generate a stack of Fury, which boosts our spell damage and then gets used up by the whip. Barbed Trap is our source of minor force, and then Flames of Oblivion is the reason we don't have to have Inner Light on the front bar, and we can have Trap instead for the Fighter's Guild boost because it gives us that major prophecy and also fires out fireballs at 3 different enemies. Flawless Dawnbreaker is only on the front bar for the Fighter's Guild passives for your spell damage, and you won't actually cast it. On the back bar, in this particular rotation, we've got the Unstable Wall of Fire to allow us to proc our Maelstrom staff. The other rotation uses Elemental Blockade instead, but Wall of Fire does give you in content a bit more sort of AoE cleave when the wall does explode. Structured Entropy is a decent dot, but also provides a heal for you as well. We don't need to use Degeneration because we are using spell pots, so we can take advantage of this heal straight off the bat. Inner Light, that's on our back bar just to give us Major Prophecy and a bit more Magicka to boost the damage of our dots on the back bar. Eruption is a really powerful dot that they've changed to cost basically nothing. So we want to keep this down, a good wide area ticking away. And Scalding Rune, a powerful dot again that procs our major skill passives. Standard of Might is the ultimate we're actually going to be using, because it makes us do more damage, take less damage, puts a burning dot on as well, and also has a synergy that our teammates can utilise. So when we're getting our empowered whips whilst it stood in the banner, we're getting some really strong in execute, like over 100k whips. For rotation 2, our skill bar is going to be the exact same, but we're going to swap out our unstable wall of elements for the other morph instead, which is elemental blockade. So with blockade of fire, you get a longer duration, so you get more time where we can throw whips in on the front bar without having to bar swap. But in content, this does lead to less cleave damage because we don't have the explosion of the unstable wall if we cast it or recast it in that area of effect. So while it does still give us the Maelstrom staff proc and it still does allow us to do extra damage on light attacks, just bear in mind in content itself, whilst on the dummy it hits the same at 112k, it will be a little bit less effective in exchange for a simpler rotation. So let's take a quick look at the passives and why we're choosing them and what they do. A lot of these are what made the Dragonknight work, so they're super important. So with the Ardent Flame, we've got the Combustion passive, which is why we're using double charge daggers and why we can sustain such low Magicka for Bahseis. Because every time we apply burning, we restore 1000 Magicka. And with double charge daggers, we're going to be doing that all the time because so much of our stuff is fire. It also increases the damage of it, which is very nice, so that double charge works over time. Reducing enemy movement speed when we cast an Ardent Flame ability, that's just a nice to have in content. Searing Heat increases the damage done by all of our dots and their duration, which is nice to have for our Engulfing Flames and our Burning Embers. Then Ward and Ruin increases the damage of our flame attacks, which is all of them. Iron Skin, more damage we can block, handy in content. When we cast an ability, we increase our healing received. So when we cast Coagulating Blood, for example, when we're in portals in Cloud Rest, extra heals. Extra health recovery when we've got them slotted and increases our melee range. This is why, as a Dragonknight, you can run daggers and stab things as if you're built like Mr. Tickle, because you can just hit it from absolutely miles away. And then Spider Armor increases our physical and spell resistance, making us a bit more tanky. So Earth and Heart, we've got increased duration of our abilities, so Eruption basically. Battle Roar we've taken out. So this gives you back resources when you cast an ultimate, but obviously we want to keep our resources low for Bahseis, so casting Banner, for example, just shoots us up to full mag, which is no good. Mountain's Blessing, so this increases our damage in group whenever we cast an Earth and Heart ability, so giving weapon damage, not really that much of a biggie. And then Helping Hands, when we cast a non-stamina costing ability, we get stamina back, so when you dodge rolling and stuff in content, that's handy, because you cast Eruption, you can roll more. So for daggers, we want at least Slaughter, Dual Wield Expert, and Twin Blade and Blunt. Ruffian's good in content, but does nothing on the dummy. Destruction Staff, we want all of them for our extra sort of single target damage from having an Inferno Staff, for our spell resistance, sort of ignoring our, oh my god, words, spell penetration. Light Armor, we want all of them, and Medium Armor, we want minimum Dexterity and Agility. Fighters Guild, we want all of them for reducing the cost, increasing our weapon damage, and generating ultimate whenever we do kill an enemy. Mages Guild, again, we want all of them for the durations and the buffs, all of our Undaunted and all of our racial passives, as well as medicinal use to get our potion buff uptime to 100%. So next let's go through the rotations. Both of these share a pre-buff, but then differ because of the different morphs of wall that we're using. So this one is going to be Elemental Blockade. So the simpler rotation. So we're dumping our mag with in a light just to prop Bahseis, and we're popping our potions so we've got basically 30 seconds in before the rotation starts. So we'll pre-buff with 3 Flames of Oblivion, Trap, Rune, then start light attacks with Wall, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Degen, Banner, Eruption. And with this one we're going to do 6 whips, and then Flames of Oblivion. So from here it repeats Wall, Degen, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Trap, Eruption, Rune, 6 whips, and then Flames of Oblivion. And that will repeat all the way until it's dead, only replacing a non-empowered whip with Banner when it's ready. Nice and simple rotation. Not as effective in content because you lack the AoE cleaver of the wall exploding, but lots easier to manage on the dummy and in content if you're not too comfortable bar swapping numerous times, and still gets good results hitting 112k on the dummy. So next is the rotation that utilises Unstable Wall of Fire instead. So we've got the second pre-buff where we're popping a potion 30 seconds before, dumping our mag with Inner Light, and then starting the pre-buff the exact same as before. So we're going to go in and we're going to go with our pre-buff of Flames of Oblivion, then Trap, Rune, Wall, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Degen, Banner, Eruption, but this time 4 whips. Flames of Oblivion. Now repeats in sections 2 parts, so Wall, Degen, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, Trap, Eruption, Rune, 2 whips, Flames of Oblivion. Part 2 is Wall, Degen, Engulfing Flames, Burning Embers, 2 whips, Swap Bar and cast Rune, 2 whips, Flames of Oblivion. And those 2 stages, as with the other rotation, will repeat until it's dead, only swapping out one of the non-empowered whips for Banner, but just doing AB, AB, AB the whole way through until target is dead, basically. So as always, because my Xbox hates me, here is the last 3 minutes of a pass utilising the unstable Wall of Fire version of the rotation that hits just over 112k on the dummy. This is the one I use in content. I know they're both sort of the same, they both hit the same numbers, but if you can utilise the bar swap rotation, I would recommend that further in content than the Elemental Blockade version. But the Blockade version is just there if you want a simpler sort of rotation that will allow you to not have to bar swap as much. So at the end of this, obviously both of these rotations are written in the description as well if you can't follow me talking absolute shit really quickly as I hit a dummy. So do feel free to read that instead. And then at the end of this pass, we'll have a look at the bar setup I use in Veteran Cloud Rest for portals, solo or with a partner, and then we'll be able to wrap it up. So finally, the setup that I utilise in Cloud Rest portals, and that I'd probably use in like VAS if I was using a DK or something like that, is as follows. So we're going to swap out Whip for Force Pulse, for range and for cleave. So in Cloud Rest, so we can hit the crystals from distance, and so we can sort of tickle the mini or the boss when we're fighting a monstrosity. On the back bar, I'm putting in Coagulating Blood for my heal, because this scales off your Magicka, and allows us to heal when I'm carrying the cores. And then I'm swapping out Banner for Fiery Rage, because as you go down in the portal, you'll slap Destro and Engulfing on the first crystal as you move around, dotting them all up. Now, it is worth noting that next patch, Burning Embers, is changing as well. So it won't just be healing you as it ends, it will be a heal over time. So that'll be even more useful, because you'll be able to just slap it on everything that you need, and you'll have heals ticking over the entire time from Structured Entropy and from this. So you probably won't even need Coagulating Blood next patch. So then finally, because I almost forgot because I'm an idiot, let's have a look at the champion points. So green is all preference, so we'll look at blue. We've got Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, Thaumaturge and Backstabber. You can swap out Thaumaturge for Fighting Finesse. I got pretty much the exact same results. I'd use Thaumaturgy if you're using Elemental Blockade, and I'd use Fighting Finesse if you're using Unstable Wall. That's just how I found the rotations to line up for the best results. Green, I'd probably go for Rationer and for Liquid Efficiency to save yourself money on food and pots. But this is my crafter as well, so most of mine here are into like meticulous disassembly and stuff like that. Red will depend on content. You're always going to want Rejuvenation. I've got Sustained by Suffering here, Boundless Vitality and Celerity, because also I've been running portals. But you know, you might want Fortified if you need to feel a bit tanky. You might want Slippery. You might want Bastion if you're doing VK hard mode and things like that. Just tailor it to your content. And that concludes the video for my Magicka Dragonknight build. Truth be told, this might be my last build video before Ascending Tide drops, just because I'm going to have to redo all of these anyway when the new patch comes out, because it's about to get real freaky when we can start using stam skills instead of mag skills and things like that. Let me know in the comments though if there are any pressing videos. Well, I say pressing videos, I've basically got Magcrow and Magplar left that I haven't done yet. So let me know if you want to see them before Ascending Tide. If not, I'll probably wait till that patch drops, which is obviously a little bit later because I'm on Xbox, so I haven't got it like now, like PC have. If there's any other content you'd like to see, sort of like mechanics videos or anything like that, please do let me know. There's not a great deal in the game I haven't done yet, and the ones I haven't done, like the hard modes and such, I'm working through at the minute. So any sort of content you'd like to see in terms of that, please do let me know what you'd like to see. Or if you think I'm shit and you want to stop making content, let me know as well, because I'll laugh at you in the comments. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please feel free to subscribe, and see you soon.